rehash real quick. So the Ring of Royal Grandeur is a item that makes it so that when you're completing set bonuses, you need one less item. During development, we always had all these stories about like, oh man, I always wanted to finish this set, I never finished it. One of our designers in the booth was like, this is crazy, what if you had a ring that's like every set ever? And it sounded way less stunning than that, but we were developing this ring at the same time that we were working on adventure mode. So as we were working on adventure mode, we were trying to figure out what does adventure mode look like, how does this going to work. We didn't have a clue. We knew we were going to have bounties, but we didn't know what bounties were. So we started sort of fleshing out this idea of like, well, what if we had a group of like targeted legendary items that you could farm, so when you first hit max level, you'd have activities to do. So the Ring of Royal Grandeur was one of the items we made. We included it in the actual bounty bags, thinking like, yeah, this would be cool if I, really needed this, I could go grab one. And the intent was always like, well, if you got 5 on your 6 pieces, and you really need one more, but you can't get it, you can go get the ring instead. Then, what actually happened, as opposed to what we expected, and this is par for the course, was players went, oh man, that's really cool. What if we put like 27 crafted sets on and got like every bonus in your game at once? And we're like, that's really, really clever, and we totally were not ready for that. So players ended up with this really inflated power level using the ring in a way we didn't really expect, but it was really awesome. So Ring of Royal Grandeur farming became this really popular topic. This is a Google result for those of you in the back who can't see. This is 172,000 search results on Google for Ring of Royal Grandeur farming. And I'm sure you could type that in 800 different ways, like Royal Ring of Grandeur farming, which is what I still call it when I'm not practicing to give a presentation because I'm dyslexic. So we started talking about like, all right, well, this is cool. Like, people are talking about how long it takes to get this thing, how good it is, how it's required to play the game. And we're kind of like, well, it's really good, but maybe it's fine that we have stuff like that in the game. And then we launched Seasons. And Seasons came out. We had our first season, and we started reading forums, reading threads. People were saying like, yeah, I really want to play Seasons, but I just don't want to farm another Ring of Royal Grandeur. Like, that's pretty fair. So I started reading these threads, went home, played over the weekend, and I think I have my sunglasses in my head still. Yup, okay. So went home that weekend, and I got my ring, my friends got their ring. My brother was like, hey, get my ring. I was like, all right, cool, let's go get one real quick. And then 3 days later, we were opening bounty bag number 100, and he still hadn't got one. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is not the season experience people should be having. We want people to come back for seasons, play new characters, try new builds. This is not at all what we want them to experience. So we started talking about, well, what are the problems we want to fix? What are the things that are actually issues that we need to address? And we had two. The biggest one was the farming problem. We put all this time into adventure mode and bounties and tried to create this really diverse experience that we're really unhappy that we saw all these people just running this one act over and over and over. We also had an issue with build diversity, where people would say like, oh, I can't take this ring off, it's mandatory, I'm not allowed to use other rings. To which my response would be like, well, yes you are, but okay, we'll go with it. So we said, all right, well, what can we do to address that issue? Like, what are the fixes that we feel are right? So to address the farming solution, these are the popular solutions that were proposed by the community, by coworkers, by the designers. The top one was just nerf it. This thing is way too good. Just you can't have items this good. Like, make it weaker. To which my response was, fucking how? -1, what do I turn that into? I don't know. Other people said, just remove it from your game entirely. Like, I don't even know why y'all made this. It's cool, I don't know. This cool shit should be allowed to exist. And then the final solution was, give it to everyone. Just, I don't know, I hit level 70 and magically it appears in my inventory. So obviously, those were all kind of the extreme ends of the spectrum, but that was the kind of thing we were hearing. We talked about it a lot. We internally agreed, like, you know what? what we're actually going to do is we're going to make it easier to get, but we're only going to make it easier to get if you actually need it. Because a lot of people, as soon as they hit 70, straight off into Act 1, they're like, well, I don't need this thing yet, but everyone told me I have to have it, and they would do nothing but Act 1. So I said, all right, look, here's the deal. If you're in Torment 6, if you're at like the hard level of the game, where you probably have 5 or 6 of your set pieces, we're going to make every bounty bag give you one of these items, so that you've got about a 1 in 5 chance, I think, 1 in 6, to get the Royal Ring if you're in Torment 6. So the solution was, let's try to take some of the sting out of farming it, and try to make it easier for the people that actually need it. Then there was the build diversity problem that we had to solve. So these are a couple examples of things that we did to try to improve the build diversity issue. People all the time would say this is too strong, this is mandatory, and generally within the office, our response was, well, yeah, but it's really cool. Like, of course we want items to be this awesome. Can we make other rings that are as awesome as that is, and try to give players more options so that they've got cool things to use if they don't have this one? So the Ring of Our Lease was actually one of the first ones we made. It was sort of our, well, can we make it cool, but not just damage? Can we make something class specific? So the Ring of Our Lease, for those that can't see, it reduces the damage you take from melee when you have a Frost Shield active, and then also has a chance to Frost Nova periodically when you take damage. The convention of elements on the right, which hopefully some of you recognize from last year, this was actually designed during our panel last year for our community event of designing a legendary. Lots of people said, I really want like a ring that'll rotate through elements so that I can try different builds. Like maybe I want like a fire and lightning build. So we're like, all right, cool, here's a ring for that. Between patch 2.1 and 2.2, we added 10 new rings to try to sort of expand on the diversity of options. This is Focus and Restraint. I'm sure many of you recognize this. This is kind of the new mandatory, as people would tell me. Like, I have to wear Focus and Restraint.
Let's step outside.
But this was sort of our attempt to go like, well, what if we made a ring set that was so good you couldn't even wear the Ring of Royal Grandeur? And I think, in hindsight, we probably overdid it a little bit here. Like, we maybe shot the moon a little bit too much. But all that being equal, it doesn't really matter, because the final solution for us was, we said, hey, we've got this cool feature, it's called Kanai's Cube. We're going to let you enable legendary powers without wearing items. Like, what if you get to have the Ring of Royal Grandeur and you don't even have to wear it? So this was kind of just sort of the final solution in the pipeline. This one we knew was coming for ages, but it took us a long time to finish and get it shipped. So these days you can have your ring you needed to. If it was cake, that knowledge would make more sense. But the summary of it was, we decided we would just make it easier to attain. We would make really compelling alternatives, so even if you didn't have one, that's cool, I got these other rings that are really good also. And then finally we would use the cube as a way to allow players who really felt the need to have it, the ability to have it while still using anything else in the game you wanted. And I hit the wrong button, but the next slide was just me saying the end, so hope you enjoyed it. I'll be hanging out here in the Slurry Cafe for the next 2 hours and change, so feel free to hit myself up, anyone in a dev team shirt or anyone in a Blue Crew shirt.